Hello everyone, it's Felicia with Inspire Counseling Services. Welcome to week 6 of You're Enough, dealing with past and present abuse series. If you've been with me throughout this journey, thank you. For 6 weeks, we've talked about difficult things. We've talked about abuse, we've talked about shame, we've talked about boundaries, we've talked about trauma, we've talked about healing, we've talked about finding your voice. And if I'm honest, those aren't easy conversations, but they're necessary conversations. Because healing begins when we stop pretending we're okay and start being honest about where we've been. As we close this series, I want to leave you with this truth. This final week isn't about what happened to you. It's about what happens next. Because healing is not just about surviving what hurt you, it's about learning how to live afterward. You know, there's a lie trauma often leaves behind. One of the greatest tragedies of abuse is that it doesn't just wound people, it often changes how they see themselves. Many survivors walk away believing, I'm too damaged, I'm too broken, no one will ever understand me, I'll never trust again, I'll never have a healthy relationship. And maybe you felt some of those things. Maybe you still do. But I need you to hear me today. Those thoughts may be understandable, but they're not true. There's a look to healthy love, and it looks different. When you've experienced trauma, unhealthy love can feel familiar. Control can feel like protection. Possessiveness can feel like commitment. Chaos can feel like passion. And accepting less than you deserve can start feeling normal. But healthy love looks different. Healthy love doesn't require you to abandon yourself. Healthy love doesn't ask you to sacrifice your peace. Healthy love doesn't thrive on fear. Healthy love is safe. Healthy love is respectful. Healthy love is consistent. Healthy love honors your boundaries. Healthy love allows you to be fully yourself. And after everything you've been through, you deserve that kind of love. And when we're learning to trust again, let's be honest. Trust can be hard, especially when trust has been broken. But trust isn't something that you owe anyone. And trust isn't something you have to rush. Trust is rebuilt one step at a time. One healthy interaction, one safe conversation, one relationship that reminds you that not everyone will hurt you. One moment where you realize that your past does not have to predict your future. And if trusting feels difficult right now, that's okay. Healing isn't measured by how quickly you trust. It's measured by your willingness to keep moving forward. We're also looking at reconnecting with yourself. Many survivors become experts at surviving, but somewhere in the process, they lose themselves. They stop listening to their intuition. They disconnect from their emotions. They stop trusting their own judgment. They stop feeling at home in their own bodies. But this week is about coming home to yourself, learning to trust your voice again, learning to trust your instincts again, learning to honor your feelings, learning that your body is not the enemy, learning that you deserve safety, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. I need you to know that restoration is possible. One thing I know for sure is this: healing rarely happens alone. Sometimes God heals through prayer. Sometimes God heals through therapy. Sometimes God heals through community. Sometimes God heals through safe relationships. Sometimes God heals through the courage to finally tell the truth. But regardless of how healing comes, God is still a restorer. And what trauma tried to steal from you does not have to remain lost forever. I think it's important that you break the silence. And before we close the series, I want to speak to those who have spent years carrying their pain in silence, those who protected everyone else's comfort while suffering alone. I want you to hear me clearly. You do not owe anyone your silence. You do not have to minimize your story. You do not have to pretend it didn't hurt. You do not have to carry secrets that are crushing your spirit. And when you're ready, your voice matters. Not because everyone needs to hear your story, but because you deserve to live free from it. Sometimes healing begins when shame loses its power because truth finally has a voice. And whether you share your story with one trusted person, a counselor, a friend, a room full of people, or simply with God, know this: your story has value and your voice matters. There's a scripture that comes to mind. Joel 2:25. I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten. I love this scripture because God is speaking to people who have experienced loss, people who know what it feels like to have something taken from them. And maybe that's you. Maybe trauma stole your confidence. Maybe it stole your trust. Maybe it stole your voice. Maybe it stole years of your life that you can never get back. And if we're honest, that's one of the hardest part of healing. Not just what happened, but what was lost because it happened. The years spent surviving instead of living. The relationships affected. The opportunities missed. The part of yourself you had to bury just to make it through. But God says, I will restore. Not because the pain wasn't real, not because the loss didn't matter, but because God specializes in bringing life to places that feel beyond repair. Restoration doesn't always mean getting back what was lost. Sometimes restoration looks like finding peace where there was once pain, finding purpose where there was once confusion, finding strength where there was once brokenness, finding yourself again. And maybe that's the message this entire series has been pointing to. What happened to you was real. The wounds were real. The losses were real, but they do not get the final word. God does. I have some affirmations and I want you to say these with me. I am worthy of healthy love. I do not have to earn what God says I deserve. My past does not determine my future. I can heal without rushing my process. I deserve relationships that are safe, respectful, and mutual. My voice matters. My story matters. I am not broken. I am not ruined. I am still worthy, and I am still enough. I have some journaling questions. As we close this series, I want you to spend some time reflecting on these questions. 1, what does healthy love look like to me today? Question 2, where have I confused survival with love? 3, what boundaries will help protect my peace moving forward? Next question, what part of myself am I learning to trust again? And last, what would it look like to fully believe that I am worthy of healthy, whole love? As we end this 6-week journey, I want you to remember something. What happened to you matters, but it's not who you are. As I've said before, you are not broken. You are not ruined. You are not too damaged to heal. You are not too damaged to be loved. And after everything you've survived, you are still worthy, you are still valuable, you are still healing, and you are still enough. Just a disclaimer, this content is intended for encouragement, education, and self-reflection. It is not intended to replace professional counseling, therapy, or mental health treatment. If you are struggling with the effects of trauma, please consider reaching out to a licensed mental health professional or trusted support system. Healing is possible, and you do not have to walk this journey alone. Thank you for allowing me to walk this journey with you.